Chinese funding. These two words have become the highlight of all Indian debates in recent days. After New York Times reported that an Indian media portal, NewsClick, received Chinese funds, there has been a lot of discussion on how Beijing has been trying to influence public opinion in India and elsewhere. However, if you believe media is the only medium through which China seeks to influence, then you're wrong. What if I tell you that China operates an educational program in multiple countries which furthers Chinese propaganda? And guess what? At least 7 educational institutions in India are running these Chinese institutes. Hello and welcome to the Pamphlet. China has been infamous for attempts to extend its influence outside its borders. Confucius Institute is one such medium with which CCP promotes its propaganda. Officially, the stated aim of program is to promote Chinese language and culture, support local Chinese teaching internationally, and facilitate cultural exchanges. If we check its history, the first Confucius Institute opened on 21 November 2004 in Seoul, South Korea, after establishing a pilot institute in Tashkent, Uzbekistan in June 2004. In 2006, the goal of 1,000 Confucius Institutes by 2020 was being discussed, although the current numbers stand at 550. So, what's controversial about these Confucius Institutes? Criticisms of the institute have included administrative concerns about finance, academic visibility, legal issues, and relations with the Chinese partner university, as well as broader concerns about improper influence over teaching and research, industrial and military espionage, surveillance of Chinese abroad, and undermining Taiwanese influence. These institutes have faced organized opposition in several universities such as University of Melbourne, University of Manitoba, Stockholm University, University of Chicago, and many others. Moreover, some universities that had contracts with Confucius Institutes decided to terminate them. A few examples are Japan's Osaka Sangyo University in 2010, Canada's McMaster University, Université de Sherbrooke, France University of Lyon in 2013, the University of Chicago, Pennsylvania State University, and the Toronto District School Board in 2014, the German Stuttgart Media University and University of Hohenheim in 2015, Vrije Universiteit Brussels, and University of Kansas in 2019. According to a recent report, Germany may be also considering placing restrictions on Confucius Institutes. The German Education and Research Minister Bettina Stark-Watzinger had warned in June that China may be exerting undue influence on German universities via the Confucius Institutes. Clear limits must be set for direct influence, he had stated to a German newspaper. Not only in Germany but even in UK and US, these Chinese institutes have come under fire. During his presidential campaign, Rishi Sunak had vowed to close down all 30 Chinese institutes in the UK. Now, after becoming the president, Sunak has surely not closed down the institutes but has stated to cut down any government funding to Confucius Institutes. A recent report in the US published by Parents Defending Education revealed Chinese financial influence over American public schools. The report added that the funding came from Chinese Confucius institutions. Notably, these institutes came into criticism even under the Donald Trump administration. The US government in 2020 had written to educational institutes in the country saying the program offered under the arrangement with Confucius Institutes gives China's ruling Communist Party a foothold on US soil and threatens free speech. According to June Teufel-Dreher, who teaches Chinese government and foreign policy at the University of Miami, you're told not to discuss Dalai Lama or to invite Dalai Lama to campus. Tibet, Taiwan, China's military buildup, factional fights inside the Chinese leadership, these are all off limits. In August 2014, Zhu Lin, chief executive of the Confucius Institute worldwide, became embroiled in an incident in Braga, Portugal, when Xu ordered her staff to rip pages referring to Taiwanese academic institutions from the published program for the European Association for Chinese Studies conference in Braga, claiming the materials were contrary to Chinese regulations. The critiques of these Chinese institutes have raised concerns over their influence on academic freedom and the possibility of industrial espionage. If one could define it simply, These institutes present a selective and politicized view of China and its imperialism. Questions over these institutes have even been raised in India. In 2020, India had reviewed the collaborations involving 7 universities and 54 MOUs on inter-school cooperation signed between Indian and Chinese institutions. The review was prompted after clashes between Indian and Chinese troops along the line of actual control in East Ladakh. Last year, the Indian government had decided that the collaboration of Indian educational institutes with China's Confucius Institutes will require FCRA clearance. However, the institutes which were reviewed are still functioning in India. As the discussion on Chinese funding in the media rages, academia should also be brought under the spotlight. Beijing is a master when it comes to propaganda and information war, and subverting young minds in your rival camp is a tactic which it has successfully implemented through Confucius Institutes. Maybe it's time for India to take a harsh stance on Chinese funding and whoever receives them, either be it media and education institution or even a human rights activist.